A couple days ago, there was a report that a lady died on Haunted Mansion. How often does death actually happen at a theme park? Is this a normal occurrence? So this last week, it came out that a woman on Haunted Mansion passed away. Not sure if it was a heart attack or what exactly it was, but something happened during the ride. It wasn't anything that happened with the ride. She didn't jump up and do anything she shouldn't. She just passed away during the ride and arrived back at the station, the unload area, deceased. It's unusual because normally in Florida, they don't pronounce people dead on the scene. There is a whole procedure down in Florida where it's supposed to be the county coroner or the hospital declares them. And so it's not supposed to happen at the scene. It's supposed to be verified and happened afterwards. So typically, if there's an incident, say at a theme park or a hotel, the person isn't actually declared deceased until a good little bit afterwards when they can verify. The fact that they declared her deceased on the scene is definitely a bit unusual. But how unusual is this? How rare is it for people to die at the parks? Let me break this down a little bit, because I know right now there's people going,
"Oh my goodness, somebody died. Ah!"
And it's actually kind of funny to read some of the emotional overreactions. So at any given point at Disney World, between the four parks, the resorts, there's probably close to 250,000 people there. 200,000, 250,000. And then during peak season, that goes up even more. Imagine a town or city that size. How many people die in that city every single day? Pretty decent number. Now, yes, you don't have the people that are in hospice over in the theme parks. You don't have people that are critically ill in theme parks. They're not there. They're hospitals or hospice or something. However, there is a small segment that does come in from Make-A-Wish Foundation, where we saw some very sick people come in. Sometimes, even as adults, it is their last wish, and you see people come in. They tend to be the exception, though. You don't generally see people that close to death coming into the parks, at least not consciously. However, how many people have heart conditions or at risk for stroke or things like that? And they're still in the park. Disney attracts a pretty decent set of older guests. It happens. Heart attacks happen, strokes happen, other things happen, and people pass very suddenly sometimes. At Silver Dollar City, we had one time where one of the ride operators on Outlaw Run suddenly keeled over with a heart attack. And a couple of my friends were working. They were able to bring him back with CPR. But if they had not been trained with CPR, by the time first aid got there, he would have been gone. I do know another engineer friend that they had somebody have a heart attack on the train. And again, we had one of the defibs on the train, so we were able to pull that out and use it if we needed to, and we're all trained on CPR. But if somebody hadn't been, again, there's a possibility they could have been gone. So even at Silver Dollar City, I know of 5, 6 instances where somebody just natural living just suddenly had something happen that they could have died. All of those cases, they didn't. At Disney, which has so many, literally 10 times the number of people Silver Dollar City will have, it happens. I had one photographer friend that they had a family with Ariel that was visiting, and young girl in a wheelchair. and had a great visit, had a wonderful time. Ariel loved on him. And as they were wheeling out, all of a sudden he noticed a commotion with the family, and the girl just... so it happens. I had another photographer friend that was with another character, and the person that was visiting, the guest, just flat, boom, gone. They were gone before they hit the ground. No idea why. Obviously we don't find out about that. A little bit of a shock when it happens. And then of course the first thing is, okay, check them, try and treat them if you can, get them off stage so that way there isn't a whole crowd of thousands of people going. It happens. My friend that was working at that point, they were gone. they knew they were gone. It was pretty obvious. So death does happen at the theme parks, and more often than you may realize. There is a procedure. There's several procedures in place. First thing is first aid. Second is crowd control, get people away, or get the guests someplace where there's not going to be people around, if convenient, if possible. But otherwise, get the guests away so that way there's room and you don't have a million camera phone footage. People going. Yeah, if you see somebody collapse or get hurt or something, don't yank your cell phone out. Please show some class, some decency towards them. And then, obviously call first aid. Let first aid and the paramedics get onto it and do what they can, and they do their job. The only time that we did anything at the train if somebody got hurt was in the case of a heart attack. We knew CPR, we knew mouth to mouth. We were trained on that. So immediate life-saving, and then as soon as first aid got there, we handed it off. If it was anything other than that, we didn't do it. We let first aid do it, which is kind of sad, but in our lawsuit happy society today, the reason they do that is because if you do one thing wrong, family sues you and it gets ugly. So you don't do anything more than absolute necessity, life-saving, and then give it over to the professionals. I'm kind of grateful I haven't actually had to deal with an actual death. I had enough other injuries, but like I said, we would see it. When people did die, it would mess your day up. The one time I can think of, I guess I did deal with a death. Probably was in the park, thinking about it. Was a Make-A-Wish family. And I've told this story before, but, we were shooting over at Toontown, and they closed us down because this Make-A-Wish family came in. Make-A-Wish is kids under the age of 18 with a life-threatening condition who make a wish, and they're granted it. And Disney hosts a lot of Make-A-Wish families because a lot of them want to go to Disney. And this girl, I think she was probably 12, 13, somewhere in there. They closed Toontown, brought everybody together into one room, and they wheeled her in, and she was in a chair bed with IVs and heart monitors. So it's beep, beep, beep. So we knew she was not well. The photographers got out of the way. The characters put on this amazing show. The photographers, we stood in the corner and cried because it was just awesome watching them love on this girl and her smiling. We had two of the photographers did take pictures and got what they could. And just amazing experience watching them love on this girl that you knew was very, very sick. And they finished the meet in probably 10 minutes or so. And then we all went back to normal, went back to work. Went on break, had another photographer come a little while later, bumped me out. I went on break, took my half-hour break, relaxed, ate, everything else. Came back to our equipment area where our one lead is working, and I'm going to get my next assignment, find out which character I'm going to go work with next. And I realize she's crying. I'm like, what's wrong? Are you okay? And, the girl that we had all watched had passed away, and she had gotten word. And apparently some of the characters had found out as well. And I still had to clock in and go to work, knowing that this young girl that I had just seen a couple hours ago was gone. And one of her last experiences was meeting the characters at Disney. More than likely, she had whatever was going on with her. She had a nurse with her. They realized something was going on, and I highly doubt they got to the hospital before she was gone, just based on time. So that was hard. That was hard to go back to work and forget it. We didn't forget it, but we had to put it aside because there were all these other guests, thousands of guests that wanted to meet the characters. And then we waited till we got our next break, and that break room was a weeping, sobbing mess for a while that day. The characters oftentimes would break by themselves in their own room, but several of them came into the regular break room with us, with the photographers and the other people working that area, just because we wanted to console each other. That's the one time I really remember. But it happened. There's a lot of times it happens and you don't hear about it on the news. People with their phones now make it a lot, immediate reporting. People know immediately. Used to be 10, 20 years ago, they didn't, because nobody had cell phones and they weren't that aware. But it does happen on a regular basis. Even cruise ships. Cruise ships have thousands of people. What a lot of people don't realize, look this up, cruise ships have morgues because people die on the boat and they have to wait till they get back to port. And it happens often enough that they're prepared to deal with that. So, unfortunately, it does happen. And unfortunately, you have to learn to work around it. It was not something we talked about in traditions. It was not something we talked about in training. But when it happened, you kind of put into play your other training and went from there. So, my condolences and heartfelt sympathies to those who lost a loved one. Not just a haunted mansion, but, especially as we get older, we lose them. Anyways, I hope you found this informative. I know a little bit rambling. It was a little bit hard to see this week, and I had several people reach out and, oh my goodness, somebody died. And now the funny thing was, it being Haunted Mansion, of course, then the question becomes, so did they become, that one last soul that they were looking for? I can't comment on that. But, it was a ironic place to go, I guess. But I hope that I answered some of your questions and was a little bit informative. If you got other questions, please let me know. Drop them in the comments below. I would love to hear them. Thank you so much to our Patreon supporters as well, and YouTube members. We couldn't do this without our financial supporters, especially since Meagan and Amber are off to California. So by the time you see this, they're at Disneyland. The bums. Yeah. So, meanwhile, I'm just here in Branson. But I hope you have fun. Thank you so incredibly much for watching. God bless.
Wow, look at all those names.
Yeah, that's all of our supporters on Patreon and our YouTube members.
Oh, that's cool. That's actually how I started out.
Yeah, it was. But of course, you remember, you have to be a subscriber first.
And yeah, if you haven't done that, be sure to hit that button right there.
Yeah, not the cat. Just the button. And if you want to see another one of our videos, hit that button over there.
And if you want to know more about supporting us, hit that button.
Of course, you don't want to hit my buttons. That makes me sing.
No. And we do not want to do that to Craig.
Well, maybe...
Thanks for watching.
God bless.